In this video, I'm going to try to convince you why the Amaran 150C might just be the very first light that you should buy if you're an aspiring filmmaker or a content creator. I'm also going to compare it to the 300C and see if it's actually worth the extra $200 for this light. Oh, and at the end of this video, I'm going to suggest what light you should buy second and give you some other options along the way. Now, for those of you who are just tuning in to find out what the difference between the 150C is and the 300C, well, let's save some time. This is 150 watts and this is twice the power at 300 watts. Yeah, there's a difference in color here only because I have two different colors. They all come in all four of the colors. Okay, I've set up both of the lights behind me and we'll turn on the 150C to 100% power, which completely blows out the background. So if I turn on the 300C at 100% power, well, it also completely blows out the background. Although if you were standing here in the room, you would notice that this is twice as bright as that. So now with the aperture turned down on my camera, well, you too can see that the 300C is actually twice as bright. Now, there certainly are times that you want the brightest light possible, but sometimes you want the dimmest light possible. So I've set both of these to red, and I've set them both at just 1%, their lowest setting. And still, the 300C is a little brighter. So if you want a really bright light, well, spend the extra $200 and get a real bright one, or stick with the dim one. You might find it comes in handy. Now, I bought the 150C with my own money because I wanted to use it here in the studio, and I'll show you some of the tricks that it can use. I absolutely love this light, and I was going to make a video review of it, but then Amaran reached out to me and said that they'd like to sponsor a video, and they would send me a 300C for free. So, technically, this video is sponsored. Don't tell Amaran that I would have done it anyway. All right, I'll dial in the background color just where I want it. I'll start off by explaining why the first light in your kit needs to be a point source or a COB light like this. A COB meaning chip on board. Yeah, a light like this will be able to fill up a softbox. You'll be able to take that softbox and use it as your key light or the main light that lights up your subject. Now, a small light like this can be great for some things on set, but it's not really going to work as a key light. That's why you want a point source light like this that has a bonus mount adapter that you can put on some nice big softbox. And guess what? Amaran sent me a little softbox to review as well. So let's open that up and I'll show you what it looks like. A little Velcro around there. Inner diffusion and now an outer diffusion. Yeah, fantastic. This appears to be a stripped down version of the Aputure Light Dome Mini. It's a little different than the Light Dome III. It has some plastic parts on it and it also doesn't come with an egg crate, but there's room for it as you can see here with the Velcro. So while this light looks pretty big and it's pretty bright, it's actually not as big as I would suggest that you get for your first main key light softbox. The softbox I recommend is the Light Dome III. This is fantastic. This is actually the Light Dome II. They have a 3 now that's a little better, a little easier to take down. Yeah, this is a lot bigger and it'll give you a lot softer light if you can fit it into your space. Oh, if you'd like me to go into a deeper dive about the Light Dome III and all the cool things that it can do, well, just subscribe because that video is coming. So the first light you're going to want is something that can fill a large softbox. But you know what? Every lighting company has a light like this that can fill a large softbox. Amaran makes some as well at different prices that are much less than this. This is the 60D. I was wrong. This is the 60X. This is the bicolor version. The 60D just has one color of white light. So this is the least expensive Amaran light that can fill a large softbox. But if you have a little bit more money, well, they have a little better light. And that's the 100X or the 100D. It's not much more money and it's a little better built and it's much more powerful. There's also the 200X and the 200D for a little bit more money than that will give you the same light a little more powerfully. And then for just a little more money than that, you can get the Amaran 150C, a light that I think hits all the sweet spots of a great key light. All right, I've set up the 300C over here in the large softbox, and let's just see what it looks like. I'll turn off all the other lights here in the Sidus Link app, and I'll bring it up from 1% to, well, looks like about 9%. Now you could purchase a key light that is daylight only, and those tend to be a little brighter and a little less expensive. But I've pretty much quit buying those. I like to get at least a bicolored light, because what a bicolored light allows you to do is, well, when you have the light over here, you can adjust it to different color temperatures. You can make it a lot more red or orange, or you can make it a lot more blue, or you can pick something in between, or you can always go to the standard 5600 Kelvin daylight balanced. But a colored light gives you a lot more options, not just with colored lights like you would think, but also in your white light, because there's a shift here that you can use to get a little more green into the light or a little more magenta into the light. And this allows you to match this light to other lights that are either practical lights that are in the shot or other lights that are just a little bit off. A colored light can actually be a better white light. And that's one of the reasons I recommend this light. Actually, I'm recommending this light. Another thing about a colored light is that you get more and better effects. For example, this fire, or let's try a cop car. Oh, and I've actually used this cop car effect a couple of times. So yeah, it comes in handy. All right, but party lights, I've never used it. But if I ever throw a party, I've got it. But these are not the only reasons that I recommend these lights as your first key light. Amaran has designed these lights to work with two modifiers that are going to take these lights to a whole new level. Amaran designed these lights to work perfectly with the Aputure Fresnel 2X. And the great part is this little Fresnel is not that expensive. It's a little over $100, but well worth the money. It has an easily adjustable lens that allows you to focus the light in and get more light out of your light. The only other recommended light for this Fresnel is the Aputure 300 series, which costs a lot more than this, and they're not colored. So this is a great deal. So now with the Fresnel attached, well, you get a nice fall off from the light from the center out to the edges. And you can also zoom it in quite a bit and still maintain that fall off. Yeah, this is a great accessory to have. And also, as you can see, or maybe you can't see, it's a lot brighter. But the modifier that's designed specifically for these lights that excites me the most is the Spotlight SE. It's similar to a Fresnel in that it has a lens on it that is adjustable, but this allows you to make all sorts of patterns by you putting little gobos into this section here. It also lets you flag off the lights by just pulling these little things here. Here, let me show you some of the things that it can do. So I put the Spotlight SE on the 300C, and yeah, you can make all sorts of great backgrounds. And that's just the background that's blurred out. Here, let me show it to you in focus. And this is just one of the 15 gobos that come in the pack, or you can buy these separately. They're size M. Oh, and by the way, that's just 20% power. If we go all the way to 50% power, well, that's be about where the 150C would be. But with the 300, well, that does allow us to get even brighter. So you might want to ask yourself the question, is being able to go from this brightness to this brightness worth $200 to you? I will have to admit that on darker colors, well, it's nice to have that extra power, because here it is at 50% and here it is at 100. So maybe the 300C is worth it. But do bear in mind that the Spotlight SE does come in two varieties. It comes in a 19-degree beam angle, which is pretty tight, and that's for shooting across the room, and a 36-degree wide angle lens. That's the one I would suggest if you're going to do a small room like this. But the good news is the lenses are interchangeable, so you can buy one barrel end lens and then buy just another lens from Amaran. Yeah, they think of everything. Having fantastic modifiers for this light makes it less likely that this light will become a doorstop. And I've bought a lot of doorstop lights in the past. But even if you get this light and never get any of the modifiers, this is still a great light. Let me tell you some of the other things I really love about it. This is an all-metal yoke, meaning it's not going to break on you. Yeah, the handle is plastic, but it's of good quality. But this is going to last and last. It also has an umbrella holder on here, which is really nice. Oh, I should talk about umbrellas. You know what? Why don't you subscribe, and I'll do that in the next video. Hey, thanks. Some of the other features I really enjoy is this little button right here. It's the Bluetooth button. So when you want to hook it up to your phone, you don't have to dial through a bunch of menus to hit the Bluetooth reset. You just press that button right there and you're off to the races. I like that. The controls are easy to use, and it is powered with this little connector here. And this allows you another accessory, and that's to get a battery powered unit from Amaran and use that with some V-mount batteries and power this remotely. Yeah, lots of options with this light. There are a couple of downsides to this light. If you're a professional and you need wireless CMRX, then, well, it's not going to have it. It's also made of plastic. Nice plastic, but plastic. So it's not going to be as durable. And the case it comes with, well, it's not that great. I am kind of warming up to this case. When I first got it, I thought, oh, this is going to be horrible. It's just going to fall apart. I'd probably break it with my hands. You know, I probably could break it with my hands, but I'm not going to. The first thing I think to go will probably be this hinge here, which is nothing more than some plastic, but I think some gaff tape would probably fix that as soon as it breaks. But the thing I do appreciate about having a crappy case is, well, one, I do have a case, and two, if I want a better case, well, guess what? Amaran sells one of those as well on their website. Buy a case, don't buy a case, well, you have that option. And that's kind of the theme about this light. It has options, and that's why I suggest that this is the first video light that you should buy. But now, as promised, let's talk about the second video light that I think you should buy. After you get a nice key light, well, you're going to want to have a hair or a rim light. Here, I'll turn mine off and you can see the difference. Yeah, that tiny little light does make a pretty big difference, especially when you're shooting an interview scene. It gives it a more professional look. Does it make it 100% better? No, probably 10 or 15% better. But in the video world, that's kind of what we're going after. So what light would I recommend for a hair or rim light? Well, currently, Amaran has this great little light. It's the Ace 25C. It's full colored. It can do all kinds of things. And there's a little grid that I may have lost. And there's a grid that's magnetic, and you can get a nice control over your rim light. Plus, lots of different options here as well. If you'd like to see a whole video about why this is one of my all-time favorite lights, well, you can just watch that right over there. And if not, hey, thanks for stopping by.